Over 7 years, GT Academy has taken the best gamers from around the world and transformed them into professional racing drivers. Winners have gone from virtual to reality, competing around the globe, winning podiums and racing in the top class of the biggest races on the planet. The racing experiment has gone on to be the most innovative driver development program in the world and has embraced gamers from over 30 countries, producing more winners than ever. But there have been errors, crashes and failures. For every podium, there have been retirements. Not every winner of GT Academy has made the grade. This year, to make sure they succeed, we will follow the team as GT Academy goes back to basics. In this week's episode, we find out how the team and drivers prepare for a race, both on and off the track.
Preparation takes many forms. Obviously the equipment, cars, the people. Preparation is everything.
My approach for preparation is the same in Super GT, in Blancpain, even for karting. It's the same preparation.
Well, when the cars finish a race, the main consideration is what that previous race was all about, i.e. was it just a short race? Was it 3 hours? Was it 4 hours? Was it 24 hours? And naturally, if you've done a 24-hour race, then the car would need totally rebuilding, engine out, gearbox out.
As soon as we get back from a race, we'll assess how many kilometres we've done in the previous event, and then we work out how many kilometres each component's done, and then do a list of which components need changing or which components are still have enough kilometres on to do the next event. You all start thinking about the next race pretty much as soon as you finish the last one.
It's a big overhaul really after a 24-hour race, so it's critical that every single component's checked on the car. We don't go quite back to a bare shell, but we will go quite deep into the car, checking the wiring loom, the uprights, the suspension, everything gets checked.
Depending on how many kilometres the engine and gearbox have done, if they've still got life, they'll stay in, but if they haven't, they'll come out.
It's really important that we don't miss anything and we ensure the car's to its best ability. We build them ready to race when they go on the lorries. When we get to the circuit, we just check our base settings that we've already got from the factory and from our previous setup. The cars are ready to race when we turn up.
When they come out of those trucks, you could fire them up and go. We never seem to.
During the rebuild process, the team can use data to set the cars up ready for the next track.
Well, data is one of the most important tools you have to improve the car and to improve your driving, of course.
The data that we use is not necessarily from last year's race. It could be from the last time we were there, because we've been there doing other things. But the car is geared to recording data. All the damper movements are recorded and so on, steering angles. So we try and see where that setup is compared to a good time and try and replicate that.
You use data all the time, and it's only by analyzing the way you drive that you improve, so super important.
The drivers also prepare for a race by using the virtual world of driving
Sim sessions
simulators.
for me are absolutely vital because I've got so little experience. You know, every circuit this year, apart from Silverstone, is a new circuit to me, so I have to learn it in the virtual world. You know, there just isn't the time or the money to be able to test all these circuits beforehand. That would be the dream scenario. You can come here and do lots of test days, but in reality it's about learning the circuit in the virtual world.
The virtual world is still present. I mean, I'm building right now a proper sim rig at my home, and I continue to race online when I have time.
The sims now are very, very accurate. They fully model the cars, not just dynamically or there's a 3D model, but how systems work and traction control and things like this. A sim prepares you, I'd say, at least 75% for the weekend, and then it's just time to adapt to the real thing once you get here.
It's amazing how familiar a place can be when you turn up for the first time ever and you drive around and you know exactly where the corners are going, you know the layout, you know the braking points, and of course you know the surface and the feel. That only comes when you drive in the real world, but in terms of learning the basics and fast-tracking that process of learning a new circuit, it's fantastic.
Team travels to races all over Europe. They must ensure that they have everything they need when they're away from the workshop.
The logistics is enormous. 25 people, 2 minibuses, 2 other vehicles, flights for some people. It's like moving a small army. So we take 3 trucks all full of parts, equipment, the cars. Yeah, we do take a lot of spares, all the tools, We seem to take more and more as time goes on.
If there's a space, we put it in. You never know. Plan for the worst, hope for the best.
The hardest thing is making sure the cars are safely strapped in. If the car isn't tied in properly, it's a big problem because obviously they travel a long way. So if they're not strapped in properly or one does come loose, yeah, it's a disaster really, because the front end of the car gets smashed, the back end of the car will get smashed, and yeah, it causes a big mess for us.
Well, you always worry you've forgotten something, but there's always last-minute things to go in. One of those opportunities to get really tidy.
Normally the factory's empty when we leave. Literally we take everything with us from our tool stations, our workbenches, toolboxes, pit stop rigs, everything goes with us.
After journeying to the racetrack, the team prepare for one of the most important moments during the race weekend.
It's crucial that we practice our pit stops just to make sure we don't have any mistakes, we clean up any bad habits we got, and make sure we go into the weekend fresh really.
The pit stop is crucial to train. We train two things. We train the driver change and the tire change.
Pit stops are a big part of a race results. It's not easy to go 1 second quicker on the track, but you can easily lose 5 seconds in the pit.
Basically, you've got one guy with the gun, another guy carrying the wheels, and they do it all. No one else is allowed over the line. Chap who stops the car, what we call the car captain, he can watch what's going on, he can glance at the brakes and things to see how wear is, but he mustn't touch the car. All that takes place only after the car has been refueled. Yeah, it's not easy.
You can win and lose a race in the pit stop, so there's massive pressure, and the more you practice, it just becomes natural, so it's just always important to make sure we're ready for it really.
During the race weekend, the drivers have the opportunity to see the track up close before they even get to drive it. The old-fashioned style track walk is one of the driver's greatest tools for knowledge.
Tracks change, make changes to curbs, tarmac changes, different surfaces, new tarmac here and there. Track walks, all very important, and every driver has to do it.
Track walk is for two things. First thing will be race line, so we discuss about the race lines, and the second thing we will check how much we go on the curves, which course can we take without damaging the car.
We check everything, the bumps. We try to really focus and remember the lines we need to take.
You can really read like where the rubber is. You can really feel like it's really slippery on the racing line.
And it helps you to expect what the car gonna do on which part of the track, so you have no surprise when you are behind the wheel. I think the only track we didn't work, to be honest, it's Spa.
It's Spa.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
It's the only one. It's the only one.
It's 7K, it's massive elevation changes. If you stop at every corner, you need all the afternoon to do it, so...
Maybe with scooter.
In the minutes and hours before the race, the drivers start their mental preparation.
Before a race, I just try and visualise the perfect lap and go into a little quiet place, sit down and then run through in my mind, because I suppose because I'm still so new to it that it's not second nature, and therefore I have to remind myself the very basics and keep it simple and just try and try and string together the perfect lap in my head and know where I need to be in the track and how I need to make the car behave to get the best out of it.
I like to get to the car quite early so I can sit in the car while I'm being pushed down to the holding area and just think about what I'm going to do at the start of the race or qualifying, or just rehearse laps in my head.
Before a race, you get that feeling of adrenaline, the excitement, the heightened focus and attention that you require to perform at the highest level, and you need to have that. You know, that if you didn't have those butterflies in your stomach and that little bit of adrenaline, I don't think you would be able to go quickly in the car. You need to have that to help you.
I think to control nerves, you always have to believe why you're here and why you're competing in this championship. For me, I just think of my targets, my goals. I set myself realistic goals, and that settles me down. I do get nerves sometimes, but if you're nervous before a race, you're nervous because you haven't prepared well enough.
With the team and driver fully prepared, join us next week when we find out if the prep pays off as we follow the team to the title decider at the Nürburgring.